Good afternoon. The following video is a public service announcement from AVA Investment Analytics. Welcome. Some of you may not know who I am. I'm Mike Stathis, Managing Principal and Chief of Research at AVA Investment Analytics. I encourage you to check my track record, leading track record in the world on investment forecasting and investment valuation and analysis. And I've been exposing a lot of these hucksters, a lot of these charlatans for a long time. And I did so because I saw that people, after the financial crisis some 15 years ago, many people out there, vultures, predators, were taking advantage of the fear, the panic, the anxiety, the worry, the uncertainty that many individuals had. And they had a lot of these different emotions, thoughts, because of not only what happened, but then you had people like Peter Schiff and that whole crew of charlatans spew out a bunch of disinformation and nonsense. Now, if you listen to that clan of parasites, if you took their investment advice, you got fucked. You got completely fucked. Now, the list is very long, that whole clan. Almost every single one is in the same tribe, by the way. You know the tribe. The tribe you cannot criticize, you can't say anything bad about. They control the media, they control the banks, they control corporate America, they control the politicians, and many other things. So what I wanted to talk about today is a guy, and to be honest with you, I've been meaning to make this video for years. I've just buried with other things, and I've forgotten about it. So the video is on a guy named Andrew Henderson. As you can see, some of you may already know him, Nomad capitalist. Now, I knew this guy was a fraud, a scam artist from day one. From day one, a decade ago, when I first saw him making his rounds on YouTube. Folks, keep in mind, write this down as a fact. Something I've been preaching for a long time. Anybody who goes to YouTube to try and create a business is a scammer. Write that down. Legitimate people with legitimate businesses don't go on YouTube to lure in customers. You understand? That's why I stayed off of YouTube. I could have had a channel starting in 2006. I saw YouTube back then. But I saw early on what a scam portal it was. And I saw the stupid people that hang on YouTube. What we do at my firm is provide world-class, top-notch research. We don't cater to dummies. So, the case of Andrew Henderson, aka Nomad Capitalist, is the same as all these other guys trying to create a business on YouTube. They're all scam artists. Write that down. Write it down. It's fact. Now, the reason why I talked about this army, this gang, this parasitic tribe of charlatans, fear-mongering, is because Andrew Henderson, like many others, exploited this whole genre. You know, the zombie apocalypse and all this nonsense. And he's been doing this for several years. And we're going to go into that here shortly. But let me just go ahead and cut to the chase. Andrew Henderson does not have a college degree. He has this fake persona like he's some high-class, sophisticated guy, educated guy, and he's not. He's a scammer. He's a fraud. He's another Tai Lopez. He's a complete scam artist. And think about this for a second. His whole premise, and we'll get into this shortly, is America's doomed. America's going to collapse. Escape America. And that's exactly the same thing that the clowns, Peter Schiff, Doug Casey, all these guys have been preaching, right? And I've exposed all this stuff for years. There's probably nobody, well, I can guarantee you there's nobody in the world that's exposed Peter Schiff in more detail and with more accuracy than me. His track record, his MO, his motives, his nonsense, his bullshit. And probably you can say the same for this entire group. Nobody's exposed all these guys. I did it for free. I did it at the expense of losing a lot of business. I did it as a public service to help people avoid getting scammed by a bunch of grifting, sleazy dirtbags. Andrew Henderson came into the scene several years ago, similar to Jeff Berwick, by the way. You know Jeff Berwick, the career scam artist, complete scumbag, dirtbag, loser. You can look into the guy. He was selling, Berwick that is, was selling the idea of getting a second passport. Berwick's another uneducated scam artist loser who's not even qualified to begin to talk about advising you on getting another passport. Andrew Henderson, same thing. Get to Berwick perhaps here a little bit later. I've exposed Berwick a long time ago. The point, folks, is this. Obviously, you've got a guy who's marketing his channel based upon doom and gloom. And we're going to take a look at some of the videos. You can see the video here, Where to Move to Escape World War III. Listen, the best place, if you're scared of a war, is to be in America. The only superpower. Okay? The end. He's going to tell you about some shithole, I'm sure. One or more shitholes. I haven't seen the video. That's the whole pitch. To scare you and for you to line up and send him money. This guy, he's uneducated, he's unqualified. Folks, if you want another passport, you need to go to a qualified, experienced attorney who focuses on international issues. You don't go to some uneducated scam artist on YouTube. You go to an attorney. They will do it. They have professional contacts around the world, or they can get such. But Henderson wants you to pay $20,000, $40,000, $60,000 or more dollars to him. And you can do the research. Go online and research. He has defrauded and scammed many, many people. Why do you think he doesn't live in America? The same reason why Doug Casey and Jeff Berwick don't live in America. It's very difficult to go after them legally if you've been scammed, if you've been defrauded. So anybody, by the way, if you want information on getting another passport, I'll give it to you for free. I'll give it to you for free. It's very simple, by the way. All you got to do is do a little search online, and you'll find out the countries where you can get permanent residency or long-term residency, so on and so forth. It's very difficult to get a second passport unless you're very wealthy. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I can assure you people that are selling you this idea are not telling you the full story, and they're using the word passport loosely. I know where you can get another passport. I know the risks, the benefits, and most of these places, by the way, they're little shitholes. You're talking about little Caribbean islands that anytime the U.S. government can say, hey, stop giving passports to all these criminals. We're going to prevent your ability to do that. And they can rescind all these passports. So, don't go to some fucking scammer, uneducated fucking twat kid who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Go to an attorney. Go to an attorney. You want golden visa program? Portugal, Greece. Okay, the requirements change periodically. Basically, you buy a property in one of those countries. Malaysia, my second home Malaysia program. Similar situation. Okay. If you're dumb, if you're lazy, you're going to get taken. Okay, something as simple as finding out information on obtaining long-term visas, permanent residency, or even passports. If you're not able to do that by going online and researching it yourself, you deserve to get taken. Okay? If you're too lazy, you're too stupid, call an attorney. Don't call a scammer like this guy. So before we begin, I don't know if we're going to have a chance to take a look at this video, but I wanted to show you his his videos, so you can see some of the titles and some of the people as well he's associated with. Golden rule: if you want to spot the whole gang of fraudsters, of con artists, make sure you spot one or two of them, because they all hang together. Once you can identify one or more, you'll be able to identify them all, at least in that genre, because they all hang out together. They're all giving each other a hat tip, a pat on the back, going to the same conferences, interviewing each other, making you look like there's demand for these guys, right? That's how it works. That's how the con game works. And there's not too many people who probably know more about fraudsters and con artists than myself, because I've been researching them and exposing them for nearly 20 years. So let's take a look. And by the way, just research this guy. He pays for fake reviews. Research him fully, and you're going to see he's a complete fraudster, scam artist. Let's take a look at his profile now. Nomad capitalist. Let's see what he's got here. So, I mean, it's just scary. He's got almost 1 million subscribers. I mean, anybody who just keeps pumping out videos on YouTube can get a lot of subscribers. You know, especially if you're pitching, you know, like easy money or, you know, ways to cheat the system. You see? This guy, legally reduce your tax. Folks, don't go to an uneducated loser who's going to scam you. Go to a professional, a legal professional, a tax professional. Okay, someone from your country that works in your country that can be held accountable. You understand? You want accountability. If they defraud you, if they cheat you, you can go to the authorities in your country where they're located, where they work, and you can seek a remedy. But if you just take the advice from some fucking knucklehead located anywhere, you're fucked. And I have come across many individuals, read many things about people who have completely been fucked by Andrew Henderson. They've deposited $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. He speaks with them initially, and then he tosses them off to like his little staff of like post-Soviet bloc people. And matter of fact, this reminds me, we're going to take a look now at his website. I want to show you something. I haven't checked his site for a few years, but I remember last time I checked, it was funny because he had his Eastern Bloc, post-Soviet, you know, Eastern European staff that worked for him, and they were like, you know, he makes them all females, and they're all, you know, fairly attractive. You can tell he's trying to like sell, like, oh, I want to interact with these girls. It's obviously a scam tactic. So let's take a look and see. In fact, you know, some of his claims, you may want to report him to the IRS. Trustpilot, by the way, I'm going to do a video on Trustpilot. Is a complete fucking scam review site. This is where all the fraudsters go to buy censorship on reviews and to buy reviews. Trustpilot is a fucking fraud. Okay? That's a fact. The way Trustpilot works, by the way, and let me just go ahead and stop for a second because of all this moving media stuff. Whenever you see someone, this is another golden rule. Whenever you see somebody tell you they've been in the media, you know they're a scammer. They're not credible. They're posting this to make you think they're credible. The media airs cons and idiots, and they want to sell you stories. This is the same media that's going to sell you a story about digital nomads. Okay? This guy is a scammer. Trustpilot is a scam. Now, you can take a look, for instance, at all these stock trading gurus, the big ones, the big names, Warrior Trading, Russ Cameron, all these guys. They're going to be 5-star rated. Tim Sykes, they're going to have 5 or 4.9 star rated on Trustpilot. You know why? Because Trustpilot has a system whereby they delete reviews, negative reviews. It's like Yelp. It's like Yelp used to be before they got caught. And this Trustpilot is located somewhere in fucking Eastern Europe or somewhere like that. So, they're outside of the scope of regulatory legal repercussions. They're like in some, I forgot where they are, Lithuania or Latvia or somewhere like that. But anyway, and you can, folks, if you don't believe me, you can take a look. You can post a negative review for one of these guys. And what will happen is that they'll say, oh, well, we don't think this is legitimate. You got to give us your email so they can check and see if you were a customer. You got to give us your phone number, right? And some of these people, they want your personal information because then they're going to threaten you with a defamation lawsuit. That's fact. And I'll go into this in the future. I'm not saying they all operate this way, but many of them do. And the other reason is that they can say, well, we don't recognize your email or your name or your phone number. You were never a customer. We don't, and Trustpilot will say this is not a legitimate review, and they'll delete it because there's money being exchanged. Trustpilot is a fucking scam review site. Anyway, you don't go to Trustpilot, folks. This is for the scammers. So let's go and take a look and see if he's got his little female staff. Oh, there we go. There you have it. Now, I'm going to show you a website here, and there's many others. Generally speaking, you got to understand, many of these review sites are fake reviews, okay? Someone actually made a website. It's called Nomad Capitalist Scam.com. Very interesting. Now, I can't confirm any of this, but it seems to be accurate based upon what I know about this guy, about his company, what I've read. And I have no reason to believe that anything is not accurate. However, I can't say that I know for sure that it is. So you should read this site, nomadcapitalistscam.com. This pretty much lays it down. And I saw this site about 3 years ago, and so it's not fresh on my mind. I haven't looked at it recently, but there's much more on him. You just research. Let's go back to his video index. I have it back to oldest. You can see 10 years ago. So just read the titles first of all. Offshore banks hate Americans. Okay, how to escape from the U.S. Escape? Why do you want to escape? America, I mean, folks, any of you out there who believe all this nonsense, these are the same people who think that the dollar's going to zero. I mean, you people, you need to go and live in other parts of the world, the non-Western world, and see how fucked up things are. Okay? You need to get some perspective, because I can tell you right now, as much as I have a lot of resentment towards the U.S., mainly the Washington and corporate America and Wall Street, the fact is that the U.S. is the only superpower in the world. They control everything. Okay? And if the U.S. catches a cold, the rest of the world is going to have a severe pneumonia, and many of the parts of the world are going to die. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Now, where this becomes important to know my track record is I'm not just some guy rambling off the street. I'm one of the top investment analysts in the world. I predicted the 2008 financial crisis with more detail and accuracy than anyone in the world. That's a fact. And previously, I was willing to bet $50,000 to anybody in the world. I'll up that to $100,000. $100,000. Anyway. So you can just read all this about how bad things are. Americans renounce citizenship at record levels. You see all this doom and gloom, and they're out to get you. And you see, because he's targeting the people who have already been primed by con artists out there like Peter Schiff and Doug Casey and Jim Rickards and Jim Rogers. You know the gang, Porter Stansberry, right? These people are already in deep trouble. They're demented. They're delusional. They have already been primed with this nonsense. So Andrew Henderson comes in, latches onto that whole gravy train of bullshit, and he's got a solution for you. Oh my God. And by the way, anyone has any direct experience in, dealing with Andrew Henderson, Nomad Capitalist, as a customer, email us, okay? Email us and let us know. Just take a look at all these bullshit videos. I mean, if you're going to talk about things that are fucked up, talk about Argentina, talk about Venezuela, talk about, even parts in Europe, but not the U.S. You can see, of course, Peter Schiff, and he's aligned himself with this Austrian economics scam artist group, by the way. And I recall that he mentions, just like Jeff Berwick, that Doug Casey is his mentor, by the way. And so let me just tell you something. Oh, Jim Rickards, of course he's aligned with these guys. We're going to take a search here shortly to see who he's aligned with. We already saw Rickards and Schiff, which makes sense. That's the same crew. This guy, and by the way, this is completely unplanned. In fact, it's 6 a.m. And 6 a.m. Friday morning, I was checking on something, and I saw this guy, and I said, my God, I got to do a video on him. I've got to expose this guy now. It's been years. I keep forgetting about it. So hopefully I'll have videos on him in the future. And I can tell you right now what this guy does. Everything that he knows, he'll tell you in the video. He doesn't. There's nothing he doesn't tell you. People think, oh, he's telling us information. We're going to get somewhere. No. He won't tell you anymore. He doesn't know anymore. He's a fucking clown. He goes online. He gets his information from publicly available sources online. Okay? He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. You can know as much as him about all these countries. Just simply search for it, folks. That's all you got to do. And, it's funny because they'll tell you how great it is, like Doug Casey trying to sell real estate in Argentina, in Salta, the drug fucking area, the drug capital of Argentina. They'll tell you about, it's great here and this and that. Folks, most of these countries are very dangerous, okay? If they're not dangerous in crime, which is Latin America, certainly, they're dangerous with public safety. You can die because they have no safety standards. So, they're not telling you the full story. There's many, many issues. Anyway, let's take a look now and see. Let's search for some names. I guarantee you, I was going to guarantee you Peter Schiff. We already saw Schiff. So we know he's aligned with Schiff. These guys, he wants to surround himself with Peter Schiff's cult members, knowing that he will get more followers, he will get more prospects to fall into his pitch. And by the way, Peter Schiff was pushing the Puerto Rican nonsense, telling people to move to Puerto Rico along with Doug Casey and Mike Maloney, right? They were selling an info packet for nearly $1,000, right? That was before Puerto Rico filed for bankruptcy. Let's see, Jim Rickards, I guarantee you he's on here. Well, yeah, we already saw him. Jim Rogers, of course. Anybody want to see the truth about Jim Rogers, check my website. I've exposed this guy as a complete fraud, complete contrarian indicator, scam artist. He's never retired. He's still working. He's nearly dead. He's still working. He's made all his money in the media. He's a media whore. He serves as a professional speaker. He shills for scam companies. He's on the boards of scam companies. That's why he trashes America. He goes on the boards of scam companies. He's paid a lot of money to represent these scam companies in Russia and Latin America and just shithole places. That's Jim Rickards. That's his whole pitch, by the way. And I've proven all that. Let's see if he does Mark Faber. I don't know if he will or not. Yeah, there you go. He talks about him. Let's see. About Robert Kiyosaki. I'm willing to bet. Folks, they want the crowd. He wants Peter Schiff's crowd. He wants their audience. They're going to watch the video, right? Because he knows that they're dummies. He knows Peter Schiff's followers are dummies and they believe all the nonsense. He knows he's going to make money from Peter Schiff's followers. He's going to have people come to him as new clients. Same thing with Jim Rogers. Same thing with Rickards. Let's see Robert Kiyosaki. I'm willing to bet Kiyosaki has been on he's been interviewed by him. There you go. There you go. Same thing. He wants to tap into Kiyosaki's customer base. Wow, a lot of videos on Kiyosaki. They might be the dumbest people out there, actually, the Kiyosaki fan base. I don't think Jeff Berwick's going to be on here because, of course, Jeff Berwick is kind of his competition. He's even doing his little passport scam. So he's not on here. It's his competition. Doug Casey will be here, guaranteed. There you go. Same thing. He wants the idiots that have fallen for Doug Casey's bullshit. They're all preaching the same thing. America's doomed. It's going to collapse. Get out of the dollar. The opposite has happened, folks. All of these other places have collapsed, right? Their currencies have collapsed. Hyperinflation's occurred in many of these countries these shysters want you to go to. They pitch Latin America. Hyperinflation. If it's not Brazil, it's Argentina. If it's not Argentina, it's Venezuela, right? I mean, come on. Anyway, so let's take a look at this video now. I haven't heard it. Let's hear what he has to say. Bullshit artist.
Changes in the world, whether it's a world war.
Our country has never been in more danger of World War III than it is right now.
In many ways, the world has been at relative peace for quite a while now, lulling many people in the West into the thought that bad things just can't happen, or certainly they can't happen here. And yet the world is also in a total state of chaos. Things in the world are changing in a big way. Today we're going to talk about how to protect yourself.
Folks, what he just said is a bullshit line, and it can apply to the world every year. The same line, you could say it 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You could say it 10 years from now, 20 years from now. You see what I'm saying? In other words, this is a way to lure people who have confirmation bias into his pitch. People who already are thinking like, oh my gosh, things are bad. Typical con artist tactic.
From changes in the world, whether it's a world war or some other threat to your peace. And the first thing...
Go where you're best treated, huh? Well, I would say that's going to be in the Western world. Okay? The Western world, you're going to be treated best. Why? Because you have freedoms and liberties, and people who aren't even citizens have, in many cases, the same rights and protections as the citizens of those countries. Now, go to Latin America, go to Asia, go to Africa, and see if you get those protections and freedoms. Sorry, Charlie, you don't. Okay? Anyway, I mentioned that because this guy wants to tell you that you're treated better in countries outside of the U.S., in countries outside of Canada, in countries outside of Europe. No, that's a fucking lie. This guy's a disinfo, uneducated scam artist. Now, it's not to say that you may like living in your country, in Canada or the U.S. or Europe, and you may want to get out. That's fine. But understand the reality. You go and live in some of these other countries, these developing countries, and you're going to have a rude awakening, folks. Because I can tell you right now, there's a lot of problems. You're not going to hear about those problems from these guys. They're just going to try and sell you. They want to take your money. They want to suck it away. If you want to get some type of permanent residency or passport in another country, like many wealthy people have done, do you think they're going to go to some fucking kid on YouTube who's not qualified? You must have, at minimum, a law degree. At minimum, a law degree and have experience in international law. Okay. In addition to that, you should probably have tax degrees, right? Tax, maybe CPA, tax law, and or have in your group of partners someone who practices tax law. You should go to professionals. Okay, if you're paying this guy $20, $40, $60,000, are you kidding me? You can go to the most expensive law firms in the world, and they're going to do what he promises and never can do. They're going to do it for you for probably much cheaper. Okay, this guy is a fucking scammer. Once again, don't take my word for it. You can forget that I have very high credibility. I'm a world-class analyst, world-class investment analyst, and traveled the world. Forget about that. Go and look it up on your own, and stay away from the fake review sites.
To examine is the idea that people say there's nowhere to go. Today we're going to examine facts and look at actual data of where you could go. We're going to apply a couple different ways of looking at this. That if a world war were to break out, not only how would you protect yourself physically, but
can you imagine, folks? By the way, let me just remind people of something important here. America's never been attacked. Think about that. All these wars America's been in, no one would dare attack America. You know why? Because people, they kind of know, it's kind of an unwritten rule, unwritten law of engagement in military conflict. They all remember when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. What happened to Japan? Pearl Harbor, that is on the island of Hawaii, was not even a U.S. state. It was U.S. territory. If World War III breaks out, America's going to be the safest place to be in the world. That's a fact. Followed by Canada, by the way. And then followed by Mexico, because they border America, by the way. If you think otherwise, your head's not screwed on correctly. Okay? The worst places to be are going to be places that really can't defend themselves well, or countries that America is fighting against.
how would you protect yourself geopolitically? And we look at the war between Russia and Ukraine. One day, people in a big country found themselves without access to financial services, without access to get many different dual citizenships or residence permits or many options at all in the countries that a lot of them would have historically gone to seek more freedom. It was all just cut off overnight. And so beyond just physical safety, we want to look at what's the reputation of your country going to be if there's a war? Where will you be able to go to seek freedom and to seek safety? One commenter said if World War III takes place in the near future, that could change everything, but there'd be no safe place to go. So where should you go? Let's consult some different metrics. The first thing we looked at is what's called the Global Peace Index. This studies countries by their overall...
This is all a bunch of nonsense. Folks, if you actually believe this is going to be your predictor on where to go, if you're even worried about World War III, you're delusional. War is war. Okay? The safest place to be, if there's a war, if you're even worried about it, if you're worried about that, you're probably worried about alien invasions and Bigfoot. And you probably believe the earth is flat and there was never a moon landing. Okay? Jesus Christ. Anyway, I'm not going to even waste any more time on this garbage. Andrew Henderson, Nomad capitalist, is a fucking fraud. He's a scam artist. You can write that down. I don't want to warn people. This is a public service announcement. Stay away from this fraud scam artist. Now, you can do one of two things. You can research who I am and my track record, my credentials, my credibility, which is amongst the highest in the world. And you can go by that, which people who are familiar with me are going to do, because they know I'm the guy that's exposing all these fraudsters. I've been doing it for nearly 20 years. Or you can just discount that, which is fine, and do the research on your own. The problem with that, though, of course, is that you're probably going to come across a lot of the manufactured reviews, the fake bullshit, and you're going to believe other people whom you don't know anything about. You're going to go by numbers. These are the same people who go by likes and number of views, and they think that's credible. No, it's not. The fake review, the fake like industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, by the way. If you're going to listen to somebody, you better know who they are and trust their judgment. You understand? Know who they are and trust their judgment. Understand that they're not an idiot, that they're intelligent. Okay? That's why I say you can research who I am, and you can see from my credibility And obviously there are people out there, it doesn't take a genius to see this guy is a scam artist. Complete scammer. And he's hiding out somewhere, I don't even know where these days, for a reason. And the reason is, if he came back to the U.S., he'd be facing, I would say most likely, a lot of lawsuits. If you have been taken by this guy, report him to the Federal Trade Commission. You can call up the phone number, FTC, the number in D.C., and file a report on the phone. If they get enough reports, they'll go after him. Okay? Anyone have any information on this guy? You've been ripped off by him? Please email us, info@avaresearch.com. Apple Victor Apple Research. info@avaresearch.com. Email us with the info. No files, please. Thank you.